Hello and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I know who I am. I do. I know where I am. Just had a total brain fart moment. I am your host, Amy Van Meijl, who is fully experiencing those Friday afternoon vibes, apparently, and forgetting where she is entirely. I'm delighted to have you here. If you've made it through the first 30 seconds of the podcast, thank you for your grace and patience. And may we manifest in clear messaging, clear words, and a great podcast episode together today. Okay? Let's do it. I believe that we can do this. So, we're going to dive right in. If you've been listening to the last couple episodes, then you'll know I'm finishing up the series of the podcast series related to the book called The Right Questions. To check out more, go to episode 89 where I talk about the inspiration behind it and what it's all about. We are just going to dive right in. And with that, I also want to make a little note that my goal is I'm setting our intention for a time together, not just clarity in how I'm transmitting the message, but also timeliness. My goal is to keep this to about 15 minutes or less so that I can keep you going on your way. Maybe you're just doing like one round of the block and you're like, that's all I need. I just need 15 minutes to get me around the block and then I'm going back home. For context, I walk around our block kind of often actually. And it's about 1,200 steps to go from my front door around the block and back, and or about about 12 minutes, 12 to 15, depending on how fast I'm walking and who I might meet on the way. All right. So today's question that we're going to be talking about is, does this choice empower me or does it disempower me? Love the question. We are going to lean into it together, talking about money. Money is a topic that, oh my goodness, I'm not kidding. I just literally got goosebumps on my arms the moment that I said that. Obviously, money is a topic that I really enjoy talking about. It's something that I am so fascinated by. I'm really fascinated by all aspects of money. I've been learning over the last few years the history of money and been learning about financial tools and just kind of like what money is and how it exists in our life. And I've been doing a lot of deep, I feel like healing is not an appropriate question. Excavating is a more appropriate question of my relationship with money and what that all looks like. And yeah, I want to dive into that. So when I think about money, we're going to be a little all over the place today, all right? Bear with me because it's going to be juicy. One of the things that I notice specifically for women and money, in this current lifetime, this present human form that I am in, I have only existed in the world as a woman. Therefore, all of my experiences are filtered through the gender identity of being a woman. So I cannot speak to what it might be like if you identify as a male or another identity. I can only speak to what it's like being in my own current. I don't plan on changing from my own identity. Okay. Women have historically been sold, taught, brainwashed, embedded with, however you want to, look at it in terms of the actual action that it arrived into your subconscious, but really been given very disempowering thoughts and beliefs around money. And there's a great episode that I listened to like a couple weeks ago, and I'm trying to remember the podcast, but that was talking about power and money and how men really are raised to have power and women are not. And as we all know, whether it's for better or for worse, and we could argue all of the sides of it, really, money has an equivalent power to it. If you have a lot of money, you have, generally speaking, more power available to you in the world. You can take that as simply down to accessing financial tools. So today was a big day. I'm going to do an episode on this at some point in the future, I'm sure. I'm still in the it just happened. So I'm integrating it. And I'm fully expecting some really wild shit to show up, if I'm being very honest. But today was the day that I finally paid off the loan I had at the bank. That's a big fucking day to me. I just got again, goosebumps all over me again, just saying that sentence, that I paid off the loan I had at the bank today. I was trying to remember earlier this morning before I headed to the bank, when did I first get the loan? Now you might be wondering, Amy, why am I confused? Don't you know you had it for a specific period of time? The reason I can't remember exactly is that a couple years ago when I had my WRX, which I super loved, obviously because I spent many thousands of dollars trying to get it repaired, and finally went, this is a very toxic relationship, and sold it. But I had a loan already that I can't remember what the reason was. And then I re-upped the loan. I had a bunch of things that shifted in the financial tools available to me, and generated a new loan. So I don't know how banking stuff works, but basically I have a new loan with a new set of terms and a new whatever length of time. So, and then I've changed the payment schedule. I was shortening the payment schedule as well to have it paid off sooner. This is a very long kind of rabbit trail that we just went on. However, where was my original thread? So I was thinking this morning, how long have I had this loan? The part that stands out to me is not the fact that I can't remember when I got it. The part that stands out to me is the fact that I don't remember when I last existed without a loan as an adult. And to be very honest and candid with you, that may never have happened. I don't actually know. When I bought my first car, I was, how old was I? 17, 18. I had a Geo Metro. It was amazing. It was, one of my favorite things is the gas tank was so small that in order to be able to earn 1 air mile from purchasing gas, I had to virtually run my car to empty in order to be able to fit $20 of fuel in there. Let's just talk about the fact that that was 20 years ago. That's weird. $20 of fuel in there so I could get my 1 air mile. That was my first car. And it wasn't super expensive, but I got a loan to buy the car. Then, of course, I went to university in my 20s. I had student loans. I've had various loans over my life. And the part that just kind of boggled my brain was I don't actually remember a time in my adult life when I haven't had a loan. And this is the part that's just channeling through. I also don't remember, it has not existed. Okay, so that's why I can't remember it. It has not existed a reality as an adult where I A, didn't have a loan, and B, wasn't carrying credit card debt. Those two things currently exist in my reality. I no longer have a loan at the bank as of 3 hours ago, and I am not carrying credit card debt. If I could somehow transmit this audio message to my 24-year-old self, I think that she would just be like, oh my fucking God, we finally fucking did it. Wow. I wish that I could have transmitted that message somehow to my early 30s self, to my 28-year-old self, correction, well, 29, 28, when my whole life fell apart around me. Literally, it was just okay, we've set flame to everything that exists. Very cool. How do I move forward? That would have been just the most amazing message. I'm very curious what's going to come through. This is what I said. There's going to be a future episode about this because I know this is a huge transition in my financial reality, and I'm very curious what's going to come out of it. Now, I'm going to add one more thing into that, and then we're going to return back to the question. I currently still have a line of credit. We're going deep into my finances today. So I currently still have a line of credit. Now, I have the opportunity to receive financial support in the form of a gift. So it's free and clear mine. That would pay that line of credit off in full. Okay? I could have it today if I wanted to. I actively chose to only receive enough to pay off the loan so that I can normalize this space before I then move into the next space of letting go of that line of credit. So when I say letting go, I don't mean that I'm getting rid of it. If any of you are like financial advisors and you're like, Amy, don't get rid of the line of credit, it's useful. It is a useful financial tool. However, I want to return that money to the bank, right? I want to move from a leveraged state where I have this line of credit leveraged, meaning I'm in debt, I have money owing on this line of credit, and therefore am paying interest on it every month, versus having this line of credit as an available tool, but it's fully paid off, right? So it's not holding a balance, it's just there. It exists much like a credit card, in that like it's available for me to spend. I could go spend the whole thing if I want to, but it's available for me to spend. The reason why I made this choice, and this is how it's going to link back to our question, and I also just saw the time, and we're probably going to be here longer than 15 minutes, just a straight up, to be honest with you. The reason that I made this choice, because it seems silly, like I'm paying interest on the money that is still existing on that line of credit, right? So you might be like, Amy, that's fucking dumb. Like, pay it off so you don't pay the interest. What my bigger, I suppose, line of thought is that these are massive shifts in my financial reality. And these are shifts that I have been dreaming about, thinking about, actively working on manifesting in for fucking longer than I can remember. Longer than I ever knew anything about manifestation. This has been a goal of mine. Long before I knew of line of credits and had lines of credit and all those things. But this idea of basically moving from a state of constantly being leveraged, and I prefer the word leveraged. It's something that I learned from Manifestation Babe. Highly recommend the podcast. Versus being in debt. The reality is the common language is that I've been carrying debt, okay? But in the context of our time together, we're going to talk about it as leveraged money. So this is a massive, massive shift that is occurring in my reality. I am excited about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm fucking stoked. I've known for so long that there's this inevitability that's coming into my life, and in particular in the next decade. I think I mentioned last episode that my 40th birthday is coming up. I don't remember when this episode is actually going to air because I've been batching episodes, but I think this episode is going to come out like 10 days before my birthday, which means that the time that you're hearing this, if you're hearing this the day it airs, I have 10 days left in my 30s. I have to keep reminding myself that I'm still in my 30s and not yet in my 40s. However, I'm not about age. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm turning so old. I am having a bit of a moment of how have I existed on the planet long enough to have accumulated 40 years? Like, that's kind of wild to me. But what I'm unbelievably fucking excited about, I know, I just have this deep knowing that this next decade is going to crack open some very, very big goals and dreams and desires of mine. And that 10 years from now, when I'm on the eve of my 50th birthday, my reality is going to be so much different in like this very big, very juicy, very lovely and abundant and fulfilling way. I'm excited about it. I'm not impatient for it, which is something that's also actually quite new. Right? How often do we have these dreams, desires, goals in our life that we're just like, could it just arrive already? Like, hello, I'm ready for it. Maybe we're not ready for it, okay? I know full well that current, present moment Amy that exists at 2:57 p.m. on August 11th, which is the time I'm currently recording this, she's not ready for the reality that August 11th, 2033, oh my God, that's so far away, version of Amy, right? She is going to have built a whole new set of skills, a whole new list of talents and resiliency and all these things that she will have needed to have as she built this life, right? Today, Amy, she needs a moment to get there. So I just have this sense, I know it's going to happen. It's absolutely inevitable to me. It feels so completely true in every friggin' fiber of my being. It's a very cool and kind of exciting feeling to have that, because I've never had it in quite such a neutral way. Also love that. However, I'm gone on a tangent. Let me pull back. However, I am very aware that in this current state of my life, I'm in this massive transition moment. There are a lot of things that are transitioning, a lot of states of reality that are transitioning. Notwithstanding my 40th birthday, 6 weeks from tomorrow, I will be marrying the man that I love, that I just daily am marveling at the fact that he exists on the planet and that I get to share my life with him. And I'm just like, what? How did I manifest this in? I know how I manifested it in and fucking worked for it. But like, our relationship is so good and so juicy and so loving. And I'm just, every day I'm like, this is amazing, right? That's another transition. I know that in the next some indeterminate amount of time, I will be letting go of my full-time job and I will be fully stepping into this business that currently is still very much in the building phase, right? So there's huge transitions happening in my life right now. And when I walked back into, so coming back to that question of this choice of empowering me or disempowering me, yes, I could have easily said, give it all to me now. I want to pay off the line of credit. I want to pay off the loan. I want to be done with it entirely. I just want to let it go. When I thought about it in actuality, it actually felt really disempowering. And the reason being, I know I've been learning a lot over the last years, very many years, that it's important to normalize these new stages. What I don't understand yet, what I'm still in the process of integrating is like, well, how do we normalize those stages? I've already said, never in my life as an adult have I existed in a space where financially I have no leveraged money hanging over me, right? That is a completely new reality to me. What can happen, I'm reading this book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. But in the book, Gay Hendricks talks about upper limiting ourselves. This idea that as spaces in our life expand and become more joyful, more happy, more fulfilled, that we bump into this limit that we've set on ourselves of, well, I am only comfortable being this happy or this successful or to have a relationship for this long or experience this level of intimacy. We will do something to bump ourselves back into what's comfortable, right? Highly recommend the read. So knowing that, understanding that, and understanding the opportunities that are in front of me and the choices that I get to make, I went, okay, these are two separate financial products, the line of credit and the loan. The line of credit is something that I kind of consider a living financial product. It's like your credit card. You pay it off, you have that money available to you again. A loan is sort of a one and done, right? You are given that money just outright. Here you go. Here's your $20,000 or your $100,000 or whatever your loan is for. And then as you pay it off, it just goes away, right? Once it's done, once the loan is done, it's just done, right? You're kind of divorced from that. You can't go back. It's a closed product. So when I looked at these two, I went, okay, this is a huge new space. And it feels really disempowering to me to actually do both at once. And I don't have to do them both at once, right? That's really important to know. If you are specifically financially, but this can apply to so many areas of your life. If you have this space of expansion in your life, but you're not quite sure and you're wanting to like kind of ease into it a little bit, You have this choice to be able to decide, actually, I want to tweak it a little bit and I want to approach it in this way. So I had the choice available to me to go, yep, I can pay them both off, be, one and done, awesome, next. But what kept coming forward for me, what I could not let go of, and is still in the processes of being processed, being healed and transmuted and moved into the next stage, is this idea that, okay, the loan, once it's paid off, it's done, it's closed, there's no going back. But the line of credit is a living organism that exists in my life as a financial tool. If I'm not ready to be completely released out of this state of leveraged money, if I don't normalize that space and allow myself a bit of time to adjust into that new space, my fear is that I'm going to become a small version of what we hear that happens to all lottery winners, right? How often have you heard in your lifetime about how 60% of lottery winners go back to the financial state they were before or worse? And I hate the fact that that's all we ever talk about is the 60%. I'm always like, what happens to the 40%? What are they doing? Why can't we learn from them? Show me the way. Anyway, so knowing that that's how our brains function, right? Our subconscious is holding all of these patterns, all these records, beliefs, however you want to think about it. So I need to give some time for myself to adjust, to normalize that, to prepare for the next level, to allow those emotional states of reaction that I'm anticipating are going to come forward to do so and to give them space and honor that moment of healing and awareness. So we're going to pull it together nicely in a bow, and then we're going to wrap it up because we're at 22 minutes currently. I don't know if anybody else pays attention to the time when they're talking on podcasts. I feel like very rarely do I ever hear any other host going, we're at 23 minutes and we need to wrap it up. All right, let's get out of here. Welcome to the unique brand of Amy Van Meijl. So thinking about choices that are in front of you, right? We've talked about this so many times. Literally everything that exists in your life is a choice. There is nothing that exists in your life in which you do not have a choice, okay? So we always have a choice. When you're looking at this choice that's in front of you, really think about, is this choice empowering me? If I choose to eat the chips, or I choose to take the job, or I choose to date or marry this person, is this choice empowering me, or is it disempowering me? And really think about that. And a super simple way that you can play with that and practice that this week is pay attention when you're out shopping for anything. It literally does not matter what it is. But money, I think, is such a great way to kind of explore and play and test and kind of see what it looks like, right? Because unlike time, you can spend time, but you can't put more in the bank. Money, you can spend money and you can always put more in the bank, right? So we can play with money a little bit. So when you're out shopping for literally anything, or you're online shopping for something, before you make that purchase, just take a moment to pause. Do not use this as a way to beat yourself up, please, because we're coming into this with loving kindness. We are not coming into this with judgment and hatred and beating ourselves upness, all right? But just take a moment, take a little breath, look for a little bit of neutral energy and go, is this choice empowering me or disempowering me? And just see what comes up, right? Maybe you make a different choice. Maybe you're like, oh, it feels a bit disempowering, and yet I still feel like I need to make it. Okay, off we go, right? You will learn regardless of what the actual outcome is that you choose. But just to take that moment of pause and ask yourself that question will give you a tremendous amount of insight. I'm very curious to hear what you find out. Maybe share with me. Actually, I'm not great at doing this, so I'm going to practice doing this more. But share with me hit me up on Instagram. You'll find me at Amy Van Meijl. The link for that is in the show notes. But hit me up on Instagram and share with me. Just send me a DM or tag it onto a post or whatever. What did you find out? Like when you sat with this question, even if you only did it one time, I'd be very curious to hear what you found out, what you discovered, what you learned, what awareness came through, maybe what you changed, whatever. I would really love to hear from you what your experience with that was. Okay. Now, my intention was to share this next little bit earlier on in the podcast, but we were having such a wonderful flow, such a lovely conversation that I didn't want to interrupt the flow. But just a quick note, sharing. This podcast episode series is sponsored by the ultimate course on manifesting more joy in your life. What you cannot see, because I am just in your ears, is that my hands and arms are waving wildly, and I have to actively keep from knocking over the microphone. So just imagine I'm sitting in my kitchen and flailing about like an Italian, I feel like. They always talk very expressively. I've done this my whole life. However, this podcast is sponsored by the Manifesting a Million Moments of Joy Masterclass. If you're tired of feeling stuck, maybe you've been searching for something that can bring you more happiness, more joy, more fulfillment, and have it actually last, then I would very much encourage you to come check out the Manifesting a Million Moments of Joy Masterclass. The course is designed to help you uncover the secrets of manifesting more joy and happiness in your life, and most importantly, to keep it consistently. I don't want you to just have flash in the pan joy. You can get that by eating a piece of chocolate, having really amazing sex, or getting a deal on something that you bought in the store, right? We want lasting joy. Joy that builds your reserve. Joy that you can tap into when shit gets hard. Joy that you can go, okay, everything around me is fucking falling apart, but these are the things that are joyful, that exist in my life. This joy is here all the time. I can access it anytime. That's the joy that I want to help you discover and build in your own life. So if that sounds in alignment for you, if you're like, fuck yes, Amy, how do I get in? Head on over to amyvanmeijl.com/joy to enroll in the course today. You will get instant access to the most recent recording of the masterclass. You also get a workbook, because that's where the fun is, a little discovery, and a meditation to help practice those moments of joy as well. So again, if it sounds in alignment, if you're like, yes, please, more joy, Amy, send it in, then head to amyvanmeijl.com/joy. I wish you an amazing rest of the day. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye.